for many of us, we think when we learn something, we've got it packed down, but learning and understanding are two different things. It's a different level when you have the understanding. So I then began to make moves, armed with nothing but that vision and a determination. And where my children were concerned, one of the things I haven't mentioned, because I'm just showing you that most of the time when I speak about this chapter, I talk about my business endeavors in terms of setting up a not-for-profit organization with no money and going on to raise 2 million, almost £2 million and all that sort of stuff, which sounds great. But I just want to show you that the resilience is a quality that imbues and feeds into every area of your life. Because alongside that was the fact that I, for a period of time, I'd lost my children. And if there's any men here, well, I mean, any parent here, just think about, you've got two young children and you're not seeing your children. Like, you've gone from seeing them every single day. And my daughter was 7. I think my son was about 1.5 at the time. So really young. So you go from seeing them every day to not seeing them at all. Well, how do you cope? Well, the only way you cope is if you have resilience. And so in my case, the way I coped was because I had a vision. I had a vision that I was going to do everything in my power to regain and connect and have access to my children. And I never let go of that. Even when, and I laugh about it now, but even when on one occasion I went to pick up my children and I was told my son was in another country, like just like that. It was devastating at the time, but I'm just using that story to demonstrate to you that resilience is linked to having a vision. So what I'm asking, ladies and gentlemen, is what is the vision that you hold post-COVID-19? Is it clear, and have you set an intention? In my book, I talk about a conversation I had with Michael Beckwith when we were in Ghana. And Michael Beckwith, for those of you who don't know, is the gentleman in The Secret, The Law of Attraction, the gentleman with the dreadlocks. And I wrote about it in my book. He said, Tony, many people suffer from a chronic disease for the majority of their life. And I'm like, wow, really? What is this disease? He said, it's called intention deficiency syndrome. And we laughed about it because it was so true. You see, there's a power in setting your intention, being very clear of your intention and why it is important to you. You see, when you go through that process, it helps you form a vision, a clear, strong vision to enable you to have the wherewithal to be able to weather the storm. And this is so important, ladies and gentlemen, because this one thing can not only make or break you, but it can change the course of your life. See, because I held onto this vision of having access to my children, I was able to gain access to my children. But it took 7 years before the vision was realized, in that I eventually gained custody of both my children. And it wasn't that I wanted to just have my children as opposed to them being with their mother, but for reasons that only she knew, my children's mother was okay with the idea of one child living with one parent and the other child living with the other. And I was like, that's crazy. So my vision was, I was fighting for the rights of my children to be brother and sister and be together in and under one household. I would have much rather them stay with their mother, because what did I know about raising children? But if there was no other option, I would do that. And so I share that to say, today, almost 22 years later, I have a great relationship with my children. Well, my daughter's a little bit estranged because she's living in Nigeria, but my son, who's in the UK, lives just 5 minutes down the road from me, and it's a beautiful thing. And I put it down to that one thing, resilience. If I didn't have that resilience, I may not have been able to experience what I'm experiencing now. So I'm sharing that story with you. I haven't shared it so deeply in the past before, just because I know, ladies and gentlemen, that what we're going through right now is some serious, serious times. And if you haven't developed the resilience, if you have, then that's great. Then I'd like you to put it in the group and share in what ways you have developed the resilience to get through this. If you're finding it difficult to put something in the group chat, then chances are maybe you haven't. And I would then strongly recommend that you look at doing our mind reset course and just seeing it as an insurance policy, because times are really serious right now. So Simon has asked the question, and he's asked, can meditation be useful at this time? And if so, how? Okay, good question. So I believe that meditation can be useful because meditation, when practiced regularly, enables you to develop a space of stillness and quiet. I was talking to someone earlier on today. Oh, I think it was a message from I can't remember who. It'll come to me in a moment. But someone was saying that they have difficulty just being still because in their minds, because the minds are always just racing and just racing, whether it be social media, you know, whatever. You just got all of these thoughts going through your mind. And I truly believe that that's part of the plan, because you see, the whole reason why we're focusing on mind reset, ladies and gentlemen, is because you don't understand how powerful your mind is, and that your focus should be to develop mastery over your mind. And that comes from practice. And so, in answer to your question, Simon, meditation, making a conscious decision and setting an intention that I want to develop mechanisms or strategies that will allow me to quieten my mind. It means that when you're going through turbulence or challenges, rather than, as we often do, worry about the possible outcomes that we don't want to experience, meditation allows us to just be still and anchor ourselves. And when I say anchor ourselves, I mean be still and potentially even connect with our higher self. And obviously, by connecting with our higher self, then we become empowered, so that the anxiety or the fear that we may have been focusing on, well, we now take our focus away from that and we focus on our higher self that can allow you to know that there is a solution, that this can work out for your good, that this can, even though at the moment you don't know how it's going to end or how it's going to turn out, you can have the faith. You know, they say faith and fear cannot have it the same place and space. And so when we're anxious and we have anxiety, that's when there's all that space for fear. But when we are centered and we are faithful, now we can, even through our meditational practice, we can visualize on the outcome that we so desire. And through that focus and through the art of visualization, then that's what we see.